And now, here we are at the very end of the video, which at this point in time, it's kind of obvious on what I'm going to talk about next, and that is the DLC for Smash Ultimate. Much like the roster, I can guarantee you this is going to be a huge ranting and raving rampage on my part. So, let's dive right into it. Starting off, we have Piranha Plant, technically, because it was originally added as a free downloadable character for a limited time only with Smash Ultimate when it first came out. And obviously with it being a limited time offer, it ended up just becoming a regular DLC character. Now, Piranha Plant is easily the worst one of all the DLC fighters because why in the world did Nintendo literally choose Piranha Plant over literally anybody else? It was definitely a troll. Like, Nintendo, Sakurai, anybody could have literally added some mind-blowing third-party characters to get the ground running with the DLC, especially since they had already done DLC in the previous Smash Bros. Game, and everybody knew what Nintendo was capable of with getting crazy contracts, with getting Ryu, Cloud, and Bayonetta, all third-party characters in Smash 4, so them just coming out and saying that Piranha Plant was the first DLC fighter instantly set the bar so low that it's kind of pathetic, honestly. I mean, looking back at it, it doesn't really matter because of the rest of the DLC fighters, and all Piranha Plant has going for it is the moveset, because Piranha Plant didn't even come with a stage or like any music or anything. It quite literally was just the fighter, and Piranha Plant is pretty lame as a character. The moveset is about the only thing that's good about Piranha Plant, because at the end of the day, it's Piranha Plant. It's like trying to make an argument for something that's bad. Like I just gotta move on to Joker. Joker was the next DLC fighter, and instantly everyone just lost their flipping minds when Joker was announced, because like I had heard of Persona 5, like I had heard of its amass popularity and fame because of how apparently good the game is. I still haven't played it, probably never will. So I know that Joker, obviously being revealed as the first true DLC character in Smash, everyone instantly just got their minds blown because of how Nintendo, I feel like that Sakurai or Nintendo did this on purpose. Like they had to have done it on purpose. Why would they have put Piranha Plant out first to set the bar so low, then to immediately blow everyone's minds with another crazy third-party character, who, by the way, Joker's owned by Atlas, in which Atlas is owned by Sega. So we technically have 3 Sega characters in Smash, but not really. Still, Joker was a really cool character who was added. His stage is really cool. There's tons of music, and it is actually like legitimate music with lyrics, which is really rare, honestly. The only other franchises in Smash that really have that are like, well, really only Sonic. There's only like a couple other singular tracks from across other franchises, but Sonic's about the only other franchise in all of Smash that the majority of the music has lyrics, therefore making it not just themes ripped straight from video games. They were like actual music tracks that could have been sold on an album or something. So in the music aspect, Joker knocked it out of the ballpark, adding a bunch of more music to Smash Ultimate, and the stage was just really cool to look at and really cool to play on, and the stage can actually change the way it looks depending on what song you use. I think it's based on the specific Persona games, Persona 3, Persona 4, and Persona 5. So yeah, Joker was a really insane addition to Smash. I'll give that easily a solid 10 out of 10. Hero was the next DLC fighter added to Smash, and Hero, well, okay, so Hero, everyone at first was just like, oh my gosh, it's another anime sword fighter, because we already have more than a dozen anime sword fighters in Smash. Like, that's one problem with Smash, is that there's just not enough regular fighters. It's riddled with sword fighters, mostly anime sword fighters, but so people really didn't have their hopes up too high with Hero, but he was third party, so that helped a little bit because it was a Square Enix character, and at first everyone thought Square Enix was a super hard company to get, but looking back at it, apparently they're super easy to get a contract with. So Hero has a very interesting moveset compared to literally any other fighter in the game, because he actually incorporated the RPG mechanics from the home series he's from, Dragon Quest, and I will say it's probably one of the coolest movesets in all of Smash. I mean, he literally, I don't even know, he has so many different attack moves in his like RPG-esque fighting style that it's like, it instantly makes him one of the best characters in Smash. So the fact that they knocked it out of the ballpark so much, 2 characters in a row with the DLC, already proves that they were definitely taking the DLC seriously with going all out. And like the stage is fine. I mean, it's not as cool as Joker's, but it's a good stage. It's decent. It's not a terrible stage. It's just a decent stage. The music's alright, like nothing too crazy. But this time, unlike Joker, who was just Joker, Hero, we actually got a couple of the other Hero protagonists from across the Dragon Quest franchise. So we got the base Hero, which is from Dragon Quest 11, which was apparently at the most recent Dragon Quest game at the time. And then another one was Dragon Quest 4 Hero. And then another one was Dragon Quest 8 Hero. And then the most famous and most recognizable one was Dragon Quest 3 Hero. Because even I had never played Dragon Quest. I didn't really know anything about Dragon Quest, but even I recognized Dragon Quest 3 Hero because like he looks very familiar, because Dragon Quest 3 is legitimately one of the most popular games in the series. And then the fourth character in the DLC lineup is Banjo and Kazooie. And Banjo and Kazooie, well, okay, this one's interesting. Well, fans, specifically Nintendo 64 fans, have been begging for Banjo and Kazooie in Smash for a very, very long time. Ever since Super Smash Bros. 64. Because Banjo and Kazooie was literally one of the top best-selling games on the Nintendo 64, so of course the 64 fans were begging for him to get into Smash, and when he finally did, everyone was disappointed, because his moveset is literally one of the top most annoying movesets in the entire game. Now, it's one of those arguments just like how I mentioned with Steve's moveset earlier with the fan base, but like, it's one of those things like, it's like he's purposely designed that way, and it's like you can't really blame him because that's just how Nintendo designed the character, whatever. The stage is an interesting stage because it like spins around. The music's just like Hero, it's alright. So Banjo and Kazooie it's just alright. Like, it's okay, because I think it's literally one of those types of characters where like literally only the die-hard Nintendo 64 fans were like, oh my gosh, this is insane! But then guys like me who's never played Banjo Kazooie, I'm like, okay, like, I literally could care less. That was my reaction to Banjo-Kazooie. So, solid character, whatever. Not super hyped about it, but, like, solid character. Next down the list was Terry Bogard from Fatal Fury. And Terry... I feel sorry for Fatal Fury. Fatal Fury is one of the few franchises that got a DLC character in Smash where it's like the franchise isn't exactly relevant anymore. Fatal Fury, before being added to Smash, was kind of like this irrelevant 90s-esque fighting game, and it shows. Like, you just take one look at Terry Bogard and you can tell he's from the 90s. Like, he looks so uber 90s. Like, him and Sonic, it's so obvious. 90s, 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 they scream 90s. And that's fine. Like, I love how they add, like, these retro characters, especially obscure retro characters, because then it's truly showing the mass amount of video game history in Smash. So I love that they included him. Cool retro pick. He has a really cool moveset, especially since there's not that many basic fighting characters in Smash. So having that another basic fighting character come to the game was really cool. Even though the stage is pretty basic, it actually has this interesting gimmick where it has these like invisible walls that you cannot break through unless someone does like a super strong attack, and then you can like break through it and then the character gets KO'd. Like, it's a cool gimmick, whatever. The music is fine, but it's absurd. I feel like it should not have gotten more than 50 music tracks. Like, that's kind of stupid, but other than that, it's fine. He's solid character, just like the last four. Now comes the final DLC character of DLC Pack Volume 1. Now, you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, this lineup of DLC characters is absolutely insane. They must have went totally out of the ballpark with adding a super insane, crazy character as the final DLC character, right? No. They added Byleth. Yeah, Byleth is a really cool character, really solid character, I will say that. But the placement of when they released Byleth was pretty sloppy, because at the time, no one knew that there was going to be another DLC pack. They pretty much thought that Volume 1 was going to be the only DLC pack. So everyone was hyped up thinking that the final DLC character was going to be something insane, something crazy. They thought it was going to be like Master Chief, they thought it was going to be Crash Bandicoot, they thought it was going to be Steve, they thought it was going to be Sora, they thought it was going to be Dante, they thought it was going to be the Doom guy. Like, they thought it was going to be something so crazy that they wouldn't even be able to wrap their heads around how Nintendo got the contract. But then they literally come out and make it not only a first-party Nintendo character, but another Fire Emblem character. So, yeah, it's just the placement. Byleth should have been like the second or third DLC character, not the final one. That's all I'm saying, because Byleth is a solid character. I'd give Byleth a 9 out of 10, and the only reason it's not a 10 out of 10 is because Byleth is the 8th Fire Emblem character in Smash. That is the only reason I'm knocking off a whole point. So Byleth is a solid character. I just wish they placed Byleth in a different spot and not as the final DLC character, because that was super sloppy on Nintendo's side. I don't know what they were thinking, but they saved it by revealing that there was going to be another DLC pack. So the first one was Min Min, so they were doing the exact same thing again by announcing like some D-tier Nintendo character as the first one. And the only thing Min Min had going for her before she was even like added to the game was the fact that she was from another basic fighting game, because like I said, there's so many sword fighters and not a whole lot of basic fighting characters. But the problem is her moveset is just so jank, broken, cringe. Like it's not a good moveset, honestly. Like it is a very broken trash moveset, I will say. I've played her a couple times and I just can't seem to be good at her. So her moveset fails. She must be a popular character to save her. Well, no, she's not. She's actually not. She's not even the main character of ARMS. It's Springman or Ribbon Girl, the two characters on the front cover of ARMS. But the reason why they didn't add those two is because Springman was already added in as an assist trophy and also as a Mii Fighter outfit. And same thing with Spring Girl, she was already added in as a Mii Fighter outfit as well. So they felt it necessary that they had to add an ARMS character, but because the other two were already in the game to some extent, they thought they couldn't add them, so they went down to one of the other lesser known characters in the game, thus giving us Min Min. And now it looks super weird on the roster having this ARMS character who isn't even the main character. And it's like, really? That's it. Like if they got a Street Fighter contract, but they already had Ryu and Ken elsewhere in the game, whether it was as spirits or assist trophies, whatever. So they went down the line and then added Chun-Li. It's like, how do you have Chun-Li but not Ryu? Like that's like what it is with ARMS. So adding Min Min was a pretty ballsy choice, I will say, and a pretty big waste of a slot on the roster that could have literally been anybody else that many fans have been begging for decades. So yeah, Min Min is like, I'd give her like a 4 out of 10, because at least it's a pretty interesting original moveset and it's not like copy and paste, and at least the stage is at least it's interesting to look at. It is a basic stage that really has nothing. It has those little spring panels, like whatever. Yeah, Min Min's just a character. And then they immediately saved themselves again, just like DLC Pack Volume 1, by adding Steve, literally the character that broke Twitter for being revealed in Smash. Like, everyone legitimately lost their minds. Even I lost my mind when I found out that they put Minecraft in Smash. That's one of those third-party franchises that's, like, so mind-blowing. It's like, how did Nintendo get this contract? This is insane. Literally insane. I know I was not one of the people who were immediately jumping on the Minecraft hater bandwagon, because I actually wanted Steve in Smash because Minecraft is the biggest, top, best-selling game in the history of forever. So I wanted him in the game because I had played Minecraft. I was like, this game's amazing. I want it in Smash. But there were a bunch of people who didn't want Minecraft in Smash because they thought it would be cringe. They thought it'd be memed. They thought it'd be just absolutely garbage. They thought he was going to have a terrible moveset. And like, I don't blame them. I mean, looking at Minecraft, it looks like a game that wouldn't even fit in with this crazy crossover Nintendo fighting game. So of course I don't blame him. But they knocked it out of the ballpark so much. He has one of the best movesets in the entire game. While everyone's literally fighting each other on the stage, you can literally just be mining in the ground and playing Minecraft while in Smash. I don't think I've ever seen that before with any other characters. Because like, think about it. If you're playing as Fox McCloud, you can't play Star Fox in Smash. You're playing Super Smash Bros. Fox McCloud in Smash. Minecraft, Steve, you're literally playing Minecraft while playing Smash. I never thought it'd be possible to play two video games at the same time. Steve legitimately made that possible. Steve is like a 100 out of 10, honestly. And I'm not even that big of a Minecraft fan. That's the crazy part. I didn't think I would ever see a character from a game that I'm like Like, I like Minecraft. I'll play it a couple times. I want him in Smash. He's a cool character. Whatever. They put him in Smash. My mind is blown. This guy is insane. 100 out of 10. Nintendo, you did an amazing job. Oh my gosh. And then the next character they added was Sephiroth. Now, even people who've never played Final Fantasy can admit that this is an insane pick. Because I mentioned it before, Sephiroth is the very first true third-party villain to be added into Smash. Now, I don't count Zombie and Enderman because they're color swaps. I mean true with their own moveset, separate fighter on the roster. And that's crazy because we didn't get Eggman, we didn't get Dr. Wily, we didn't get M. Bison, we didn't get blah blah blah, we didn't get any of these other like super famous third-party video game villains yet, and then we get Sephiroth, probably one of the most legendary, most famous third-party villains of all time, and it's like one of those from like a rated T video game. Like, everyone thought for the most part that our first third-party villain would be Dr. Eggman. I'm pretty sure that's what most people thought, and the fact that it was Sephiroth of all villains is crazy. So that alone gives him like an 8 out of 10 just for that. And then on top of that, it fixed the Final Fantasy VII representation, because I mentioned it earlier in the video how terrible the representation for Final Fantasy VII was. Sephiroth fixed that, so that already brings him up to a 10 out of 10, and I didn't even talk about his moveset yet. His moveset is amazing. He is broken in the sense with his sword, because just look at the size of that thing. I mean, it's ridiculous. He can hit people from like the other side of the stage. But he's a really cool character. S tier, easy 10 out of 10. You're seeing the repetition here with all the third-party characters in DLC, right? They knocked the third-party characters out of the ballpark, but for some reason with the Nintendo characters, they just dropped the ball so hard, because here comes the next character, Pyra and Mithra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And this is the exact same issue with Min Min from ARMS. Pyra and Mithra, they're not the main characters. Well, they are, but they're not. Rex is the main character from Xenoblade 2, and the problem with that is Rex had the exact same thing with Springman, where he was already added in the game as a Mii Fighter outfit, so they felt it necessary to represent Xenoblade to the point of, like, it needs a character on the roster for some reason, so they added Pyra and Mithra in the game, and while, yes, I actually can understand it, because looking back, they were two of the most, or at least Pyra was one of the most asked characters in all of Smash, but it's not for the reason that most people are thinking. I mean, I don't want to talk about this. Why do I have to talk about Xenoblade 2? Oh, Xenoblade 2 is one of the stupidest games I have ever seen in my life. And I will say that to someone's face, because this game is... It's so inappropriate. Why do I have to talk about this? So, Xenoblade 2, I don't know why Sakurai felt it necessary to add this into the game. I mean, like, I get it. I guess they saw the sales and saw that it sold really well. Blah, 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 blah. But it's just because something's popular doesn't mean it's good. And, like, I feel like I come off as a hypocrite saying this because I've never played it. But, like, I've seen a lot of the gameplay. I've seen a lot of the cutscenes. I've seen a lot of everything from this game just because of how popular it is. And apparently every YouTuber on the flipping planet who plays Smash has to talk about Xenoblade because it's in the game. And this game, the gameplay looks really boring and basic. The cutscenes make me think it's degenerate for inappropriate reasons. It's just not a good game, man. The original Xenoblade Chronicles is a cult classic, so the fact that the sequel feels it necessary to pander to the anime fans seems a little weird, but I don't know, it was a very bad choice of a character. I mean, if they wanted to add another anime sword fighter character, they might as well have added another Fire Emblem character. I honestly don't see what would have been worse. So, yeah, it was just another sorry excuse to throw in another Fire Emblem character, basically, except while not being a Fire Emblem character. And Xenoblade 2 was just a terrible pick. I mean, if they wanted to add another Nintendo character to promote a new game on the Switch, they should have just done something like, honestly, they should have added another Zelda character. I've mentioned how bad the representation is with the roster of Zelda characters. This would have been the perfect time if they wanted to say, okay guys, let's take a break from getting all these third-party contracts. It's driving us silly. We are losing our breaths getting all these contracts. Let's do a first-party Nintendo character. Someone should have raised their hand and said, a Zelda character, come on guys, and apparently no one did because we got another Xenoblade character. So yeah, they dropped the ball really hard on that one, but don't worry, they saved themselves a little bit when they announced Kazuya as the next fighter. So Kazuya, obviously being from Tekken, has a ton of moveset potential, and being another character having a basic fighting moveset, therefore fixes the problem with Pyra and Mithra adding another anime sword fighter. They add another basic fighter. So they fixed their mistakes, sort of, and added Kazuya. So Kazuya's moveset is actually really cool, but Kazuya has the same issue with Steve. A lot of people had a bunch of backlash with his moveset because of how broken it is and how overpowered it is, and I consistently see the memes on the internet about how a flipping 4-year-old could play Kazuya and win. Now, while you're not inherently wrong, I'm only gonna say that he has a simplest, like a easy moveset to like play around with if you're picking up Smash for the first time, but people who are actually talented at playing the character, much like myself, because Kazuya's legitimately probably like my second or third main, it's one of those things that like he has a really good moveset. It's just that these people who keep losing to him, I feel like these people complaining, like I already mentioned it before, that like Smash Bros as a whole, the whole roster is broken. So making the argument that there's like a specific character on the roster that's like the number one most broken character in Smash is actually just really stupid, because the entire roster has some kind of broken ability, whether it's good or bad, and it's balanced out so fine that people who complain about it are honestly just crybabies. I'm not lying. Like, so Kazuya's moveset, while it did get a bunch of backlash, he's actually a solid character, and being from a third-party franchise, you can't really complain. I mean, when they get these crazy third-party characters, especially a PlayStation character, can we acknowledge the fact that Nintendo time and time again has added PlayStation character after PlayStation character in Smash, and people for some odd reason keep complaining? Like, are you kidding me right now? We're getting PlayStation characters in Smash. Let's jump back to 2001, Super Smash Bros. Melee. If someone said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if Cloud was in Smash? I guarantee you people would look at you like you're an idiot. Like, there's no way that, like, people are just spoiled. Smash Ultimate has spoiled the fan base so much with all of these third-party crossovers that, like, apparently people don't remember what it was like way back when third-party characters weren't even in the game. Like, the fact that we've gotten Kazuya, Tekken, what? Like, these PlayStation franchises that no one in a million years would have ever thought to come into Smash, and people backlash over his moveset. Like, bro, shut up. Oh yeah, and how the music tracks, it's a giant music track, so that's huge. And the stage is just kind of basic. It could have been a little better. So then here we are, 5 of the 6 DLC characters have finally been added to the game for DLC Fighter Pass Volume 2, and now everyone's having the debate on who the final character is gonna be. I remember seeing so many different guesses and so many different predictions on who the final character was gonna be, and so many people thought it was going to be Dante, so many people thought it was going to be Doomslayer, so many people thought it was going to be Sora, so many people thought it was going to be another boring first-party Nintendo character because of how Nintendo dropped the ball in the first one, and some people were right. Sora was the final DLC character, and even people who've never played Kingdom Hearts, much like people who never played Final Fantasy with Sephiroth, they acknowledge that Sora was easily the best pick to be the final character in Smash, because that one added a character that some people thought would be impossible. And it's not because he was a third-party character, it's because he was half owned by flipping Disney. Disney, big conglomerate, million, billion, trillion dollar company, Disney, big Mr. Big Britches Disney that feels the necessity to own everything and won't let anyone use their stuff. Oh, well, I guess they let people use their stuff nowadays, but you get what I'm saying. It's Disney. No one thought that in a million years Nintendo would even be able to get on Disney's front porch and say, hey, can we have Sora? Like, no, it was almost like a dream. It literally was a dream come true. And here's the thing too. I acknowledge Sora as being one of the best, if not the best, character to have ever been added into Smash Ultimate. And it's just like Steve. I'm not that big of a Kingdom Hearts guy. The video games are alright. I've played them. I've played the main 3 games through, and the gameplay's alright. The story is good. It's okay. Like, I'm not super big into RPGs, but I will acknowledge that Sora is legitimately the best character to have ever been added into Smash Ultimate. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It was literally the most perfect pick to add. I can understand the people who were really thinking it was going to be Doomslayer because Sakurai and Nintendo were just leaving all these posts and hints making Doom references, and yeah, I get it, but then they revealed Doomslayer as a Mii fighter outfit, so they technically weren't wrong. They were adding Doom Guy into Smash, just not as a fighter. They were adding him in as a Mii gunner, so like, So yeah, Doom is in Smash now. I mean, that's really weird to think about. This super rated M, rated R, inappropriate, gory game from the 90s. Guys, the fact that it's even in Smash is crazy. I just mentioned this with the third-party representation. It's like, go back to Melee. People would think you're an idiot if you ask for Cloud. I mean, it's crazy, because, like, yeah, so Sora was definitely the greatest character to have ever been added into Smash, period. And looking back at all 12 DLC fighters, technically 11, I will say that it's really weird that Nintendo put so much effort into the third-party characters, and then every single first-party Nintendo character, it almost seems like they just didn't care. Because I think this is just a conspiracy, but I truly think, other than Piranha Plant, the other three first-party Nintendo characters were solely added in the game just for the sake of being a billboard ad. Now, it's not as bad as Roy, because at least their games had already been released. It almost seems so unnecessary. Like, those games were already selling good. I can wrap my head around Byleth. Byleth's the main character. Fire Emblem Three Houses is the best-selling game in the entire Fire Emblem series. Byleth gets a pass, and that's saying something for him being a Fire Emblem character. Like, Min Min and Pyra and Mythra, I feel like it's sloppy. It's so sloppy. So, the DLC as a whole, because of Steve and Sora, instantly makes it like an easy A tier for the DLC as a whole. But because of the sloppy job they did with Piranha Plant, Min Min, and Pyra and Mythra, if you don't want to count Piranha Plant, it's still really bad with Min Min and Pyra and Mythra, then yeah, I think it would be a solid like A+, S-, if that's a thing. So yeah, the DLC as a whole is really good, and there's really nothing else to say. I mean, the DLC is amazing. It added on to an already really good game. It helped fix a lot of the representation in the game. The DLC was just amazing. It was definitely worth the purchase for the most part, but yeah. Thank you, Sakurai, for adding these characters. Some of these are just changing the course of video gaming history. So looking back at the entirety of Smash Ultimate as a whole, there's really no real good word to describe it, because after this whole video, I noticed that I complain about it so much, but at the same time, it's literally my all-time favorite game in existence. So I can't say it's terrible, but I can't say it's not terrible, and I can't say it's like not good either. The only real way to describe Smash Ultimate is literally the best video game ever made, and that's insane. So with all the flaws and everything included, like I don't know why. I guess just the way that Smash Ultimate feels, I guess, is just makes it my favorite video game, because it's been my favorite video game ever since I played it for the first time. Nothing has ever come close to it, and that was years ago. Smash Ultimate definitely being one of the highest, most influential games in the video game industry. That looking forward to the inevitable Smash 6 on the Switch 2. At least I think it's going to be on the Switch 2. I have no idea and have little hope that it will actually be able to beat Ultimate, because the only true way to beat Ultimate is by literally taking Smash Ultimate, taking away a couple of the characters that are wasted slots on the roster that could have been someone better, literally put all of the highest, most requested characters in all of Smash history in the roster, fix all the small nitpicks I just mentioned throughout the entire video, and then add a legitimate storyline. The way to make the true best Smash game is Smash Ultimate with a little more, because Smash Ultimate is almost the most perfect Smash game, but with all the little small intricacies, problems, inconsistencies, and flaws throughout the entire game makes it not perfect, but it's so close. I would put it in the 90% range. I think probably a solid 90% perfect, which is a super high score, because if I were to rank a lot of my other favorite games, they'd be in like high 70s 70s, low 80s. So the fact that I'm giving Smash Ultimate a 90 just proves how good this game is from my perspective. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. Smash Ultimate is just the greatest thing to have ever happened in Nintendo's history, and probably the entire video game industry as a whole. And I just really hope they don't screw up the next Smash game. So yeah, that's the entirety of this video. I guess I could have gone in a little deeper on everything in Smash Ultimate, but this video is already like over an hour long. And at that point, if I were to go deep into everything, it'd be like over 2.5 hours long, maybe even 3 hours. And that's absurd. So I didn't dive into literally everything. And that's okay. Like, I just dived into the most important things. And yeah, I'd say the Smash Ultimate's truly just the best game to have ever been made by Nintendo.